exclusive satellite coverage of major international news, this is The World Tonight.
Amin Gemayel gets White House support for the removal of all foreign forces from Lebanon. Qantas and British Airways, two airlines with financial problems. Japan's politicians still divided over a successor to Zenko Suzuki. Lebanese President Amin Gemayel is on his way to Europe tonight to seek assurances from the French and Italian governments to send more troops to the multinational peacekeeping force in Lebanon. Mr. Gemayel believes such an expanded force is necessary for stability in Lebanon. In Washington earlier today, he had talks with President Reagan.
Lebanon's new president, Amin Gemayel, came to the White House to ask for more troops to keep the peace in his country and more money to rebuild it. He got neither today, but he may have better luck later. The two men discussed withdrawal of all foreign forces, the Syrians, the Israelis, the PLO, and eventually the peacekeeping force. The issue is complicated by Israeli demands that the PLO leave first and that there be a security zone across southern Lebanon. They also talked about the military and economic reconstruction of Lebanon. The U.S. hopes most of the necessary billions of dollars will come from other nations or the World Bank. Finally, Mr. Reagan told Gemayel the U.S. would seriously consider expanding the size and the role of the multinational force, which now includes 1,200 U.S. Marines. Mr. Reagan emphasized afterward that the U.S. would continue to provide assistance to Lebanon.
President Gemayel can rely upon the help of the United States. It is my hope that our mutual efforts will lead to restored peace and prosperity for all the people of Lebanon and indeed in all of the Middle East.
American commitment to the sovereignty and territorial integrity of a free democratic Lebanon has been fundamental to our survival.
Israeli Prime Minister Begin has received a solid vote of support from the Knesset in his first parliamentary test of strength since last month's uproar over the Beirut massacre. The Knesset voted 56 to 50 in favor of Begin's Palestinian policies. He wound up the two-day debate by reporting that he would never bow to international pressure to relinquish Israeli-occupied territory. He dismissed President Reagan's recent peace plan, saying that Israel would never allow the formation of a Palestinian state in association with Jordan, since this would inevitably become a PLO state. Mr. Begin also ruled out any withdrawal from Lebanon until all other foreign forces had left and Israel had ironclad security guarantees. Qantas has launched a massive voluntary retrenchment program to try to offset growing financial losses. As executives predict, this will be the airline's worst ever financial year. They have asked 1,000 employees at offices around the world to leave the airline by March. Last year, Qantas recorded a loss of more than $17 million. This year's shortfall is expected to exceed that. The voluntary retrenchment program is designed to save an estimated $20 million each year. But officials say that if the call for volunteers doesn't get results, they'll be forced to make compulsory layoffs. And there was further proof today that world airlines are in serious financial trouble. British Airways announced a loss of $985 million, its biggest ever. The airline made an operational profit of $23.5 million, but other costs and redundancy payments put it deep in the red. Today's announcement is a serious setback to Prime Minister Thatcher's plans to sell the airline to private investors.
The loss is the second biggest in British industrial history. Only British Steel made a worse one, $650 million in 1980. And it couldn't have come at a worse time from the public relations viewpoint, with the government still apparently determined to try to sell the airline off to the private sector, or privatise it as the jargon goes. The new chairman, brought in specifically to trim the airline down for privatisation, seems confident it will be saleable. But £1 billion of taxpayers' money will have to be written off before the sale.
Why should anybody want to buy an airline in the present climate affecting all airlines in the world?
Well, there are many industries, with all your experience you would know, that you look at them from time to time, and on the day, or in the year, or in that period, they're not attractive. The airline cycle did through the 60s and 70s, was a tremendous boom business. And I think that it's possible for an airline share to be very attractive.
Despite this confidence, there are considerable doubts that hard-nosed investors in the city will want to put their money into an airline sometime before the election, however much its losses are turned into profits. Hardly an airline in the world is making money at present.
British defences on the Falkland Islands went on alert again today after radar detected hostile aircraft approaching the islands. An RAF Phantom and 2 Sea Harriers were scrambled to intercept an Argentine Mirage jet heading for the 240-kilometre exclusion zone. But the plane turned away and headed for home before the RAF jets arrived. British officials say the Argentines are still trying to discover just how good the island's new defences are. In Britain, the RAF has been showing off its latest acquisition, the Tornado multi-role combat aircraft. It's the most sophisticated fighter plane in Europe and will soon be the backbone of NATO's air defence.
Britain, Germany and Italy are to fly the Tornado, but the RAF is the first to operate them from these new NATO specification shelters. The Tornado is a mass of electronics, able to fly at night in thick fog and still hit its target. And the air crew are being equipped with special suits to protect them from chemical weapons and nuclear fallout. Their new squadron headquarters is bomb-proof and hermetically sealed. There's equipment to decontaminate aircrew if they have to fly over nuclear or chemical battlefields. Before each flight, the navigator writes a computer program in the operations room, using a map and known information about his target. The computer digests the information and records the program onto an ordinary audio cassette. When the air crew settle into their cockpits, the navigator clicks the cassette into the Tornado's computer and the plane can virtually fly itself to its target, showing the pilot where he's going on a moving map display. Protected on the ground by its new concrete shelters, in the air the Tornado will depend on its astonishing range of electronics to survive the air battles of the future.
In the news to follow, our report on Japan's search for a new Prime Minister and sports car manufacturer John DeLorean arrested on drug charges in the United States.
Go Australia, go Saba, with the largest quality furniture display in the Southern Hemisphere. Saba Furniture Exhibition and Sales. Over 3 acres of high-quality furniture on display. Lounge suites, wall units, dining settings and occasional furniture. Also a large range of leather furniture, Saba Leather Living. With over ½ an acre of top-quality bedding, all at heavily reduced prices. Serta, Sleepmaker, Slumberland, Therapeutic and Sabapedic. Saba Furniture Exhibition and Sales will offer you a 5-year written guarantee, 6 months interest-free terms, plus free delivery anywhere in Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia. No reasonable offer refused. Saba Furniture Exhibition and Sales, Frankston Road, Dandenong, corner Greens Road, 1 kilometre past Furniture World Supermarket, Saba. Saba open daily till 5:30 p.m. and until 9 p.m. every Thursday and Friday. Remember, go Australia, go Saba.
Liquor stop, liquor stop, that's where the party starts.
Great Western Champagne, $3.99. Wynns Casks, $4.45. Famous Hedges and Butler Scotch, $11.69. Grand Paradiso Spumante, $1.99. Marco Vermouth 1 litre, $2.69. And Quality St Agnes Brandy, $9.99.
Liquor stop, that's where the savings are. Change your dress, change your jeans, change the dog, change the kids, change your house, change your home with Janome. Janome changes.
Save plenty of dollars on Janome. This free arm is easy to use with 12 practical stitches. It mends, makes and darns and saves you money. Was $419, now only $329.
Janome changes.
Push button model with needle threader, just $429. Make some Janome changes for Christmas and save.
Janome changes.
Sports car manufacturer John DeLorean has been arrested in the United States on drug charges. He was picked up in Los Angeles today, accused with 3 others of planning to distribute 27 kilos of cocaine.
FBI agents say the other 2 men allegedly involved in the cocaine scheme were arrested last night. Agents say the drug had a street value of $6.5 million, but the original deal involved 220 pounds of cocaine. Drug enforcement agents outlined DeLorean's alleged role in the operation.
Mr. DeLorean's role in this is more properly classified as that of a financier and investor in a cocaine enterprise.
How pure is this stuff?
We assume that it is 100 or very close to 100% pure. It has not yet been analyzed by our laboratory.
DeLorean's arrest came only hours after the British government decided to close down his car plant outside Belfast in Northern Ireland. The 57-year-old former vice president of General Motors set up the factory with more than $150 million of government money. But Conservative MPs turned down further requests for more aid when sales of the sports car failed to take off in America. All but 200 of the 2,000 people employed by DeLorean have already been paid off. There's been more violence in Northern Ireland today on the eve of elections for a new assembly. The Northern Ireland office revealed a short time ago that loyalist prisoners in the top security Maze prison went on the rampage and wrecked 148 cells. The disturbances are now said to be under control. Earlier, a bomb blasted the Belfast headquarters of the largest Protestant party. Two leading politicians narrowly escaped injury.
Intensified security for polling day tomorrow failed to prevent the INLA leaving a bomb on the windowsill of Belfast's Unionist headquarters. Luckily, it was spotted by a member of staff and the building was cleared. The explosion started a fire, destroying election literature left by campaign workers and candidates who'd managed to escape. No warning was given. The police say the bomb was clearly meant to kill. The Unionists say the attack came as no surprise.
The Irish National Liberation Army have made it plain by their statements and by the activities that they've engaged in, which we've witnessed within the last couple of days, that they are determined to obstruct the democratic process in Northern Ireland and to prevent this election taking place.
There was more evidence of INLA violence as a 20-year-old Sunday school teacher was buried today. Karen McKeown was the victim of a purely sectarian attack, shot in the neck as she left Sunday school. The INLA's tendency to hit soft targets is something that worries the police here. They're now convinced that they're dealing with a full-scale offensive by the organization. Detectives think it could be a bid to outdo the Provisional IRA, who are adopting a low profile, perhaps because their political wing are fielding candidates for the first time in Northern Ireland. In some cases, these candidates are former members of the IRA. Standing in Derry, for instance, is Martin McGuinness, a former IRA commander in the Bogside. Security has posed a problem for all of the candidates. The leader of the Catholic SDLP, John Hume, had his home bombed in a pre-election attack. And despite numerous threats on his life, the DUP leader, Ian Paisley, has continued to walk the streets in a series of election parades. It's a similar story for Jim Molyneux, Dr. Paisley's main rival. Threats he has received culminated in today's attack on his official Unionist headquarters. The policies of Oliver Napier, leader of the Middle Ground Alliance Party, don't tend to attract much controversy. But in this climate, even he says he's being security conscious.
Japan's Liberal Democratic Party is still divided tonight over the selection of a successor to Zenko Suzuki, who resigned as Prime Minister last week. There are now only 2 days left before the deadline imposed by the 4 contenders, including frontrunner 60-year-old Yasuhiro Nakasone, a former head of the Defense Agency, and his strongest challenger, 71-year-old Toshio Komoto, the Minister for Economic Planning. In this report, Foreign Affairs analyst Sam Lipsky examines the Suzuki era in Japanese politics and what it means for the future.
Had it not been for the unexpected death of his predecessor in office, Masayoshi Ohira, this man would not have been displaying his talents as a swordsman to the Japanese press in July 1980. Zenko Suzuki had been a relatively unknown, long-serving Minister for Fisheries and Communications. Elevated to the leadership of the Liberal Democratic Party and of the government, he tried to raise his very low profile and to change his colourless image. But in the 2¼ years he served as Prime Minister, few regarded Suzuki as a great leader. He promised that he would bring together the warring factions of the LDP, the party which has governed Japan for 27 years. But the politics of harmony, as he called his style, just didn't work. In foreign policy, he created controversy by referring to the relationship with the United States as an alliance. In Japan, where the public debate about defense is an intricate game of nuance, such a bold description labeled him as inept, and in some quarters, as too militaristic. More recently, there was the international row which broke out between Japan, China, both Koreas and other Asian countries over the new history books which whitewashed Japanese war crimes. Suzuki was blamed for that setback to Tokyo's diplomacy. But the key factor which led to his surprise decision to resign was the growing criticism of his handling of the economy. Japan's falling exports, a $40 billion deficit, and increasing complaints by the country's largest trade union federation, which called on him to step down. All these pressures were compounded when former Prime Minister Takeo Fukuda, a financial expert and still influential in government circles, spoke out against the 71-year-old Suzuki. The public opinion polls reflected the slide. Suzuki's popular approval rating dropped to 30%. One mass circulation magazine referred to him as King Zenko, the ignorant. When he resigned, he said it was his last service to the party, an effort to imbue it with fresh vitality. But whether a party which has been in power for so long can achieve that merely by changing leaders is doubtful. In the past decade, no Japanese prime minister has served for much longer than 2 years, and Suzuki's successor will inherit most of the same problems which led to his departure.
Sam Lipsky. The World Tonight continues in a moment.
Archipel, Europe's leading name in chip-resistant dinnerware. Fabulous imported French 20-piece dinner sets, available in an extensive range of designs and patterns and priced well below a similar product. All pieces of Archipel dinnerware are completely dishwasher and microwave oven proof. Lightweight with an inner toughness that resists chipping and cracking. Archipel, Australia's best value dinnerware. Tastefully gift boxed and available through most leading retailers.
Hi, I'm Paul Hayward and this is my Paul Hayward Piano and Organ Warehouse in Mitcham, the biggest in Australia. You'll find hundreds of pianos and organs here, all at discount prices. We have tuition for kiddies and adults, a concert auditorium, even our own service centre for all kinds of repairs. Remember, if you're looking for a piano or organ and a special deal, see me at the Paul Hayward Piano and Organ Warehouse. We're open 9 till 9, Monday to Friday, and Saturdays till 1.
Good work, JD. Best contract ever. Mum, I've passed with honours.
Gone past the post. Gala Supreme is the winner.
That certainly was a brilliant performance. And the winner tonight is... Why, darling, that's great news. Oh, twins? How fantastic!
For that special event, that gala occasion, stock Gala Spumante or medium dry stock Gala Gold. Add just that extra touch.
We really need to redecorate, love. And Spotlight make it easy.
We can't afford it, darling.
But Spotlight are offering 30% off curtain making and 30% off custom-made tracks.
I don't have time to chase around for curtains.
But dear, Spotlight have a free measure and quote service and their stores are so handy.
You're right. And they've got a huge range of decorative fabrics too.
And Spotlight's quality workmanship means we'll be proud of our curtains again.
Spotlight certainly make it easy.
As in many countries, the workforce in Britain is going through hard times. But some people who have become unemployed during the recession have found an outlet for their unwanted skills. 2 years of unemployment, well above 10%, have convinced many British workers that there will never again be a place for them in the conventional workforce. For a growing number, the response is to go it alone. A former brewery executive is making and delivering his own beer. Unemployed teachers have opened their own school. Laid-off auto workers are designing, building and selling their own cars. Earlier this year, they were draftsmen with British Leyland.
So we had a talk together and decided that we must do something to secure our futures.
They hope to build and sell 1 car a week. The recession may even be to their advantage. They're paying minimal rent on an unused factory and buying used machinery from big companies that are cutting back. As an executive with the country's second-largest brewery, Martin Ayres used to deal with only one side of the business. When cutbacks put him out of work, he started his own brewery with a friend and quickly learnt about all aspects of the industry.
Today we're drivers, we're doing deliveries and we're salesmen. Yesterday we were brewers, tomorrow we might be accountants, the next day we might be something else.
The recession has been hard on Britain's bigger breweries, but smaller companies servicing local areas are doing well. That's because they're models of efficiency, says Ayres. At the Duchy Grammar School in the west of England, there was a special pride amongst teachers as they posed for the first school portrait. 14 teachers had opened their own school after the private school they worked for went bankrupt.
If, in fact, we didn't pull it off by the end of August, we've all been unemployed.
During the summer, they bought an aging mansion and after much restoration and painting, converted it into a school. 2 years ago, the teachers, the auto workers, and the brewer would not have imagined themselves as entrepreneurs. But at the same time, they would not have imagined unemployment rates of 13%. Unemployment was also the main topic between West Germany's new Chancellor, Helmut Kohl, and Prime Minister Thatcher in London today. It was Herr Kohl's first trip to Britain since he became Chancellor. Their meeting is at a crucial time for Mrs. Thatcher, who is seeking a quick solution to a dispute with America over European steel exports. The common market countries have agreed to limit their exports to the United States, but West Germany has been holding out against that agreement. Chancellor Kohl's cabinet will decide tomorrow what action it will take. 8 men are missing, believed dead, following an explosion in a corn silo at Metz in France. 4 bodies have been recovered as rescue teams search through piles of rubble. Large slabs of concrete were thrown 200 meters from the site. Well, it isn't every day that old Blue Eyes and America's First Lady sing a duet on the White House lawn. But in Washington today, Frank Sinatra and Mrs. Nancy Reagan sang together to promote a new book about the administration's foster grandparents program.
And after a while, a hug and a kiss, it takes no more to love a child.
Most book parties have crackers and cheap wine. Most book parties do not have Frank Sinatra. But this is Nancy Reagan's book, To Love a Child, and Sinatra is singing a matching song, To Love a Child. Both book and song celebrate the Foster Grandparents Program, 18,000 people over 60, helping 54,000 handicapped or disadvantaged kids.
All the royalties from the book and this record that you just heard go to the Foster Grandparent Program.
Mrs. Reagan is not really the author of the book. In fact, she's met only 2 of the 33 foster grandparents it profiles. Writer Jane Wilkie interviewed them. Mrs. Reagan edited and wrote the preface. Mrs. Reagan is a longtime supporter of the foster grandparents program. She hit an off note or 2 singing, so come to that did Sinatra. Nobody minded. The song may or may not make the top 40. The book may or may not make the bestseller list. The old folks and the kids, though, all look like winners.
Here's another winner. The Nobel Prize for Economics was awarded tonight to Professor George Stigler of Chicago University. His citation said he'd made a fundamental contribution to the study of market processes, investigating how they were affected by economic legislation. And that's The World Tonight, this Wednesday night. I'm Jim Waley. Good night.
The World Tonight has exclusive reports from CBS and ABC America and from Britain's ITN.